for what it is. There are all sorts of issues around that which we won't have enough time to consider. A question was asked by a chief about the place of traditional institutions. In some of the debates that we had on the manifesto, the prevailing opinion is that one of the major stabilizing influences of this country has been the traditional institutions. Traditional institutions have stabilized the country. They have helped a great deal in keeping people organized, and also in keeping people in a state of some kind of respect for the nation, because they respect the traditional institutions. But one of the things that we need to do with our traditional institutions is that we need to strengthen them. How do we strengthen them? There's not enough research. There isn't enough backing for the traditional institutions, and we need to fund them adequately. Traditional institutions in other parts of the world are also an important earner of foreign exchange. People should come, for instance, to Benin. They should travel from far and wide to come and see the traditional institutions that they have read about in the history books. So we need to put our traditional institutions in such a place that they are also an earner of income for the country. And you can't do that unless you fund the traditional institutions well. You have to modify, you have to fund, we have to encourage research. We've got to encourage those who are researching on the traditional institutions. We've got to encourage tourism for people to come and take a look at the institutions that we have. There's so many issues, but those are some. In monitoring the forthcoming elections, I think that that's absolutely important. We have no choice but to ensure that the elections are monitored closely. We are going to do everything that we've done in the past. The most important thing is the electorate. The electorate itself must say that we will not allow a situation where our votes do not count. It is the electorate that determines whether the people will get away with rigging or they will not. The party will do its best. We will do our best. We'll do everything we need to do. But every man who has a vote, every woman who has a vote, must say that this vote is my right to the future. It is the right of my children to have a decent future. So I'm going to protect it. And I will be there. I will vote. I will wait until the votes are counted. And I will take the results. I will know what those results are myself. I think the question that was asked was about drugs and about retirement age. Certainly, our overall plan, there's a very, very serious plan for drugs, especially even the local manufacturing of generic drugs. We have to deal with that. There are all sorts of copyright, there are all sorts of piracy issues around drugs which we intend to resolve. But definitely, drugs constitutes a major plank of the healthcare policy. The retirement age is one which I agree with you that we must take a second look at the retirement age. But the reason why people are agitating to retire late is because there is no provision for the elderly. There's no provision. There's no safety net. In countries where the retirement age is 55 and 56, there's a safety net. You must give people a safety net. And that safety net is our social security scheme and pensions paid duly. Once you have a safety net, we can start thinking of looking at a different way of modifying a retirement age. But we provide a safety net. Otherwise, people will start declaring their ages. When they are 80, they will say that they are 40, and you won't be able to dispute it. So I think we need to deal with it as a balancing act. We need to deal with the issue of social security and security for the elderly and security for those who are retired, hope for the future. And at the same time, we will need to deal with the issue of retirement age. Thank you.
All right, thank you so very much. What's the problem? No, it's okay. Yeah. Hello. Like I told you, now this is the whole idea. Please listen. That we want to have a system that allows you to ask the questions and refocus the conversation. And I'm glad that you've done that. Unfortunately, because Benin Airport doesn't have runway lights, we don't want to detain him because he's due to appear somewhere tonight to address another forum over dinner. We have less than 35 days or 45 days for the next election, so his time is loaded. We will try to bring him back, and in fact, even the president, the presidential candidate himself, so that you can ask this question. Because like Governor Fashola said, the thing about rally is that the people sit down like kindergarten kids, and people just dish out one-sided information. The kind of question you've asked, I've shown clearly that people understand what the issues are. And you are entitled to ask more questions, but we don't have enough time today. But let me comment on one or two things. Somebody talked about people say because they were disappointed 4 years ago, promises were made, promises not fulfilled, therefore they will not vote again. That would be wrong. In this part of the world, if you marry a man, and if he give you belly, you don't say you don't go marry again. If on the other hand you have a wife, 5 years, 6 years, you don't get belly, you would say you won't marry again. You must keep trying until God bless. We have seen people who didn't have children for 10 years, they have twins by the 11th year. We can't give up. On the issue of voter protection, I think Edo can export lecturers to teach the rest of the country how to protect votes. Because during my last election, you remember, there were elderly women who couldn't see. And I remember a woman who was reported and said to somebody, put my hand on the broom, I won't vote to Oshiomhole. And he said, if you put her for wrong place, then you too, you will go blind. In Benin here, people were told, people voted, and they said, go, once you finish voting. And they said, no, this vote now, like our Pekin, we go there here with our mat. Today we don't donate her for government. We must wait until the vote are counted and result they announce. We know who win before we go home. If police won't kill us, may they kill us. It never happened here for Benin. It never happened for Esa land. It don't happen for Afema land. So when we protect the vote, let me tell you, I have always said to people that you have a choice. Go on your knees and beg your oppressor to stop oppressing, or stand on your feet and fight and defeat the oppressor. Vote will count, not because we beg them. Vote will count because they must count, and we have the capacity to make them count. If we destroy Godfatherism in Edo State, where else can we not destroy it? So I ask you to have confidence. I ask you to have trust. I ask you to have faith. One man, one vote will prevail. One man, one woman, one youth, one elder, one Odiowere, one Enoge, one comrade, one Osinbajo, one captain, one president, one vote. Thank you very much.
National anthem. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you to all the youths.